How's it going, everybody? What's going on? It's 310 The Left, your host this week on this Veterans Day, November 11th. Jahmai Webster and Julian McWilliams with you. Happy to be with you today and a lot to discuss, really. The Red Sox just last week gave a qualifying offer to one of their impending free agents. We're going to get into that. Also, talk about the potential Garrett Crochet acquisition, what that looks like, and then also get into some Major League Baseball possible expansion to playing in other areas. Julian, what's going on with you on this Monday? How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you doing? It was your birthday, wasn't it?
That's right,
Happy
man.
birthday.
Thank you.
Happy belated
Thank you.
birthday.
Yeah, belated because you didn't get me on the day, so you got to leave that
Hey, you got
clear,
to tell me
man.
it's your birthday, man.
Come on, what kind of
Like,
friendship is this, dude? I got to tell you it's my birthday.
did you? I didn't tell you it was my birthday. You didn't text me on my birthday.
That's yes, I did. Yes, I did. When's your
No, you
birthday again?
didn't.
When's your birthday?
October 5th.
Right.
October
So that's
5th.
that.
You were like, you
Right. So
said, come
just
on,
after the
man.
season, I definitely hit you up, man. Check your text. Pull it up right now.
And he said,
Pull it
let's
up right
see.
now.
Let me see. Hold on.
It's in there.
Hold on. Is
Yeah,
it in there?
because yeah, it is. Just look up "Happy Birthday," and I definitely text you on your birthday, man. I said, Have a blessed birthday, man. Cheers to more life, more blessings in this big year for
Uh-huh.
you." And I woke up on my birthday, man. All day passed by, and I ain't hear from you not once, man. So I feel hurt by that.
uh,
I
Hold
just feel
on.
like I got to
Hold
let
on.
that
I'm
be
almost
known.
there.
So,
Man, look,
well, while
it's
you look
never,
for
it's
that, I'll
never,
say,
it's
yeah,
never intentional.
it's not, but it'd be nice to hear from people in your circle on your birthday. So I feel
You
slighted by that, but you know what? There's always next year. We'll
you
see
know
what
what?
happens.
You're a kind narcissist.
That's not true.
That's who you
First
are.
off, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Saturday, October 5th. Look, man, I'm not seeing nothing on October 5th.
You got a birthday shout out, man. I don't know why you can't find it, but listen, I'll take your I'll take your belated birthday
I'll
wishes.
find it later.
Appreciate the love. 3 days, 4 days after the fact. But happy to have celebrated my birthday. It was a good time. Went out, had some dinner, did a lot of yard work with you. Actually you were over the day before my birthday. Matter of fact, now I think about it, you came over to my house to help me out with some yard work,
And you
and
didn't tell me it was
at
your
that
birthday.
but at that point in time, like that's narcissistic. I'm just over here. Hey, by the way, it's my birthday tomorrow, man. Please, send me some salutations. I didn't want to do that to you, but it is
Oh
what it is.
man.
Listen. I had to get you back,
Look,
man. You always try to come for me, so I had to get you before you did. But let's while you continue to look for that
I
over
don't
this
see happy
next
birthday. I don't see a
45
happy
minutes to an
birthday.
hour that we have, let's tap into some baseball here. So the Red Sox had several impending free agents who they could have given the qualifying offer to, 8 of them to be exact. And I'm gonna run through them so you can kind of be refreshed with the names. Some people who are listening to this right now: Luis Garcia, Danny Jansen, Kenley Jansen, Chris Martin, Tyler O'Neill, James Paxton, although he did retire, Nick Pivetta, Lucas Sims as well. So of the 8 unrestricted free agents, the Red Sox decided to give their $21,050,000 qualifying offer to Nick Pivetta, and he has until November 19th at 4 o'clock Eastern to accept or decline. Let's first off get into this decision to give it to Pivetta. Um, we just heard from Craig Breslow at the general manager meetings in San Antonio, Texas, kind of explaining the decision behind it. He said, "We know Nick really well. This is ultimately where we landed. We'll see how it plays out." Obviously, so that familiarity, yes, you kind of know what you're getting with Nick. And the way they want to build their pitching, he can probably be a back end of the rotation type of guy. They've had him since 2020, very familiar with him, tweak some things. Alex Cora constantly talks about how he loves his fastball, how it plays. It just misses barrels, although he did give up 28 home runs last year, which was top 10 in Major League Baseball. So that's something that needs to be corrected. He has to keep the ball in the ballpark. But this is a guy that they like because it's a guy that they have had. So that makes sense to me. But make it make sense to us how he can be given the qualifying offer, I guess, from the perspective of looking at his ceiling, maybe what you've already gotten in totality, because this seems to be a head scratcher from a lot of people, industry insiders, as well as people on the beat from around the league.
Well, I got a text from an agent, unprompted, who said, I feel pretty good about being bullish on Boston offering Pivetta the QO. Good call on their part. You like both tracks. I think that in some sense you're looking at someone who, yes, you know what you're going to get, right? But you're also going to get some guy who doesn't get injured, eats innings. His ERA will probably be around 4 at probably will be above 4. I mean, that's just who he is. But he's very, very durable, particularly toward the latter part of the season. And the second piece of that is I think the industry values Pivetta a lot more than we give him credit for because we see him every day, right? Like it's just totally off metrics. You know, I spoke to somebody from the Astros who said that they were interested in getting him at the deadline. You know, and that's something that that's a team that's been able to put together pitching staffs and everything like that. So I think ultimately, I think Pivetta can get more than that on the open market. And I think the Red Sox realize how much he's been valued. And in turn, if he does get a larger amount of money, the Red Sox get a compensation pick, right? So keep in mind, they offered Xander Bogaerts the qualifying offer. He obviously didn't take it.
He declined last year, right?
He went to whenever he went to San Diego. Went to San Diego after the 2022 season. Went to San Diego, obviously, but that pick turned into Christian Campbell. So, you know, there's something that can come from this, and I think for the Red Sox, it was more so about them seeing the value of what Nick brings on the open market, and I don't think they necessarily know if he's going to sign that. If he does, okay, well, that's the gamble that you got to take. But I think ultimately, this is a guy that the market, I think, does value just based on his stuff and not necessarily production.
Yeah, if he does accept it, he'll certainly be in the minority of players who have done that historically. But as you mentioned, if he declines, the Sox would receive draft compensation, and it's worked out in the past. Christian Campbell seems like a guy who could be on track to help the Red Sox this upcoming season in 2025. So you like the money there, but Pivetta just made $7.5 million last year. This is almost 3 times his salary. Yeah, you almost wonder how he can decline this. But as you mentioned, outside the walls at Fenway Park, there's value there, and people like Nick Pivetta. I think The Athletic put up a projection that he could be in line to make 3 years, $48 million. He could sign a multi-year deal, and that's kind of where it plays. This is the same thing that happened with Eduardo Rodriguez a couple years ago, where the Red Sox offered him short money, and the Detroit Tigers offered him a multi-year deal. So he ended up taking, even though on year one, if he would have stayed for just a 1-year extension, it would have been more money, but over the course of 3-year deals, it turns out to be more money, and it's all fully guaranteed, as we know how baseball contracts work. So him and his agent probably doing so much work and reaching out to teams, seeing what the level of interest is to see before that November 19th deadline if he's going to accept or decline. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with Nick. But as you talked about, not many players have accepted the QO in years past. Only 13 of the 131 players ever to receive a qualifying offer have accepted it. And I think that falls in line with these players wanting to, get more of a guarantee and more security, more stability, because this also applies to only impending free agents. It can only be given to you, one, if you have never received a qualifying offer in your career, or two, if said player spent the entirety of the season on the roster. And obviously Nick Pivetta falls in that category, first time hitting free agency. So he might want to see what else is out there.
Yeah, I think if you look at just overall, right, I think that the Red Sox were looking for some rendition or some version of Nick Pivetta that reflected the 2023 season when he came in toward the end of the year and was doing all those different roles, and you put him on the back end of the bullpen, and he's doing really well there. Then you put him in the rotation, he finds himself there at the end of the year, and they're saying, okay, look, if we can get any semblance of that next year or this year, they would have been good off. And I think he did sort of exemplify some of the things that he did better this year. He's thrown more strikes. I know you
Yeah.
mentioned the home runs, but I think the home runs are a result of him being in the zone, and so he walked less batters. And Nick, as you can say, like he's kind of tough to deal with on the media side.
Just
Can be sort of
yeah, to
prickly
some.
there, and just to mention that. But ultimately, I think that he's he's garnering the attention that his stuff sort of warrants where the industry is. I mean, good for him. I mean, look, if this was 15, 20 years ago and they offered him that qualifying offer or whatever, like he would probably had to sign that joker because nobody's giving any money for no results, right? I mean, I'm not saying no results, but like results like where it's like your ERA is consistently above 4. Sure, his whip is what it is,
Yeah.
but like back then people were grading on a different scale than they are now, right? And so I think now he's in a good place where he can make his money and perhaps not have the production that would warrant that type of money in the past. But now the industry is a lot different. They go off projections, they go off stuff. And we've seen how places like the Houston Astros have been able to figure out pitchers and how to get the best out of them. And Nick, be it in a closer role or some type of relief role or a back end starter, because I don't ever think he'll be beyond a number 4 or 5 starter. That's just who he is. He's a fringe starter with great stuff. Um, but if you have him in any of those roles, I think if you have the pieces around him, you have a successful team. It's just a matter of how much do you value him, and obviously, I think the industry values him sort of as like that middle market kind of guy.
Yeah, him with some compliments that, or you get a frontline starter. I can certainly see how that can work out. But as you talked about, 4.14 ERA last year, the durability is a factor. People love that. He made 26 starts, 27 outings. The strikeout per 9 innings is up, 10.6 strikeouts per 9. That's always up. But the home runs, again, keeping the ball in the ballpark, 28 home runs last year. Got to keep it in, top 10 in Major League Baseball. But just to put a button on this, the qualifying offer, for people not familiar, is worth the mean salary of Major League Baseball's 125 highest paid players. So that's how they come up with the number of $21+ million, which would he be in line to earn in 2025 should he accept it. That remains to be seen. We'll see how this plays out, but that's kind of one of the first few dominoes for the Red Sox offseason.
And just to be clear, I know we said earlier that we may have said that Lucas Sims and Luis Garcia were could have been eligible for the qualifying offer, but I don't think they could have because, as we mentioned, they didn't spend the entirety of the season on the roster. So, just wanted to clarify that for
Right.
the
No,
listeners.
100%. So, yeah, thank you for that. We'll see if Nick Pivetta accepts that QO by November 19th, 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll keep you posted, obviously, here on 310 The Left. The NBA season is here, and the big question is, will the Celtics repeat and claim Banner 19? You can find everything about the NBA and its culture on Nesson's basketball podcast, Hold My Banner, available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever podcasts are found. Okay, that brings us to topic number 2, man, which is very interesting because as we started the show talking about pitching, there is some more pitching that the Red Sox would like to acquire, and several pundits, several of those with an industry knowledge of transactional things, are feeling like the Red Sox could be one of the front runners in line to receive the White Sox ace, Garrett Crochet. So how likely is it that the Red Sox, you think, acquire Garrett Crochet? Because everything that I'm reading today, it feels like this is almost a foregone conclusion because of the Red Sox loaded farm system. I think I read something somewhere where one general manager stated to one of the reporters on the beat that the Red Sox could trade for anybody in Major League Baseball because of how stacked kind of their prospects are. What do you think about the likelihood of
Yeah,
this actually happening?
yeah. I mean, I think there's ultimately a good shot. I think the Red Sox have put themselves in a great situation where they have these prospects. Credit to Hein Bloom for building up a system the way he did, and obviously the names are for them, Mike Rickard, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that regime is given enough credit for the guys that they developed, be it Jaron Duran, Tanner Houck, Cutter Crawford. And these were guys that were late round picks, right? So you have to sort of be in the weeds and sort of be on the scouting scene to really be able to pick a guy like Jaron Duran or pick a guy like Tanner Houck. But with that said, with the Dombrowski regime that had prospects, because I don't think that group gets enough credit for having the prospects that they do have that are good at the major league level, Brian Bayo included, to now having this second tier of prospects that are high round picks because the Red Sox weren't that good in the years leading up to this season, or they weren't even good this season. They were sort of the last in the AL East, and we all know the record and stuff. So they had these high picks, and I think now you're looking at a team that is benefiting from this, and they sort of pique the curiosity of the industry. Look, I don't know if the Red Sox are going to ultimately go out there and do this. They have shown they've been risk averse in years past, and in times when you said, "Are they okay?" They said, "No, we're not risk averse. We're going to be in it. We're going to go all in. We're going to be a part of this next year and be a part of the mix." And then they don't do anything. So yes, they have the prospects to get this guy, but what do you want to give up? And I think it's going to cost you probably a Wilyer Abreu, a Cutter Crawford, and maybe somebody else, down in the system. And I think ultimately that's what you're going to have to get for front of the line starters, because they don't have any front of the line starters. And additionally, I think Crochet, while he has 3 more years of control left, right? So it's not appealing. Like you're getting a guy. It's appealing. However, he only has 219 innings pitched.
Yeah,
so
unproven,
it's also
certainly.
like unproven, right? In terms of injury, he had the Tommy John surgery in 2022, which kept him out. Only pitched a couple outings in the following season, 23. This was the first season where he's a full-time starter. Before that, he was a reliever. So obviously the stuff is there, but the production. I'm not gonna say the production, but the sort of the what is it?
The consistency.
Sample size.
Right.
The sample size is not there.
Doing it year over year. Yeah, he certainly hasn't done that.
So we got to look at that too. But look, that's ultimately a move you have to make. You're already very left-handed heavy. You're gonna have to part ways with somebody, right? And that's just the way it works. That's just the way. And I don't think the Red Sox have done that in the years past, but now they're in a position to do so because they have proven major leaguers on the roster, and now they have the group of guys that have proven themselves at the minor league level.
Well, as you talked about, the previous
regime, maybe throw Vaughn Grissom in there too.
Everybody.
Maybe you throw Vaughn Grissom. Maybe it's Wilyer, Vaughn, and Cutter, right? And
so 3 big leaguers for one return. That's how big.
If Vaughn comes out this year, if Vaughn comes out this year and has a bad year, his stock, trade stock, is at the floor, right? It's in the basement, sub-basement, I'll say, because he can't afford to have another year like this now. But now you can say, hey, he's still 22, 23 years old. He got sick in spring training, coming out of spring training, had the hamstring issues. That's not really the player that you guys see. And there's still some value there. He can go to Chicago, be in a place where it's not as much pressure. He can figure it out. And, he's hit at every level. And he even hit at the major league level toward the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I said, you're gonna have to give up somebody for this to work.
I just don't see it as being 3 big leaguers. That seems like a hefty haul for Garrett Crochet. As you mentioned, just like the stuff is great. Like we've seen this dude pitch against the Red Sox, and he was incredible. I mean, the Red Sox, they can strike out with the best of them, that's for sure, but especially the team that they put together last year. But I mean, this dude was just carving up this lineup. He was incredible. And this was a series, if I recall correctly, that they needed to win. And you felt like they were going to go in there and take 3 out of 4, and they end up splitting this series with the White Sox.
That was in back in, was that June?
It was, yes. And it was almost one that they almost lost 3 games to 1 in Chicago. Yes. Garrett Crochet pitched. There was a walk off in there somewhere, if I recall correctly, but they split this series. Felt like, all right, well, that wasn't what we intended to come here to do. We needed to take 3 out of 4, but partly they almost won the series because of the way Garrett Crochet pitched and the way everybody else had pitched in that series. Andrew Benintendi was hitting as well. He started to come around. His offense became alive. But I think as you look at the Red Sox roster and see what pieces maybe they can part with from the major league standpoint, they got 4 actual guys who play the outfield strictly, no other positions really. That's Abreu, that's Duran, that's Reb Snyder, and that's Masataka Yoshida, who hardly got but one outfield rep or in a game, I think, last season. And that's a guy who has been maybe discussed as possibly, them parting ways with because of the farm system and guys that they come up with, but they'll be having to eat some salary there. But you got Emmanuel Valdez, who played some outfield last year.
That's a 4A guy, dog.
Okay, but
That's
I'm just saying. I'm saying guys who can play the position. I'm just pointing out if you feel like, hey, we got to backfill this, if we have to get rid of maybe one of our big pieces,
you mean
like
breathe at the position?
Yes. Okay. Well, you
Breathe
said it, not
there.
me. So Cedon Rafaela.
Pulse.
So they got him as well.
Okay, yeah, he can play there.
Romy Gonzalez has played some outfield, as well as Nick Sogard, who played some outfield and mostly infield towards the end of last season. But you got those guys, plus you got the prospects coming up. I guess my point is being that you have a lot of logjam in the outfield, so you can get rid of maybe an outfielder if you're looking to acquire
Respectfully,
Crochet.
I don't think the White Sox are going to trade their best starter that they've had in probably since Giolito for a guy in Romy Gonzalez that they DFA'd. Like
I'm not saying I'm not saying that Romy will be on the trading block. I'm saying these are guys who can maybe give you 10 starts there over the course of 162. But the main outfielders are Abreu, Duran,
I got you.
You know what I mean? Those are your 3 right now, with Cedon mixing in there as well as I guess as well as Yoshida possibly playing there. But I'm just saying what they probably would have to give up in order to acquire Crochet, which I think is definitely going to be a major leaguer, probably a top 100 prospect, and then maybe a throw-in guy as well to try and get some frontline pitching. But if Garrett Crochet is traded for, does he immediately become your ace? I mean, take into consideration that Lucas Giolito is coming back. You got possible Garrett Whitlock also in the rotation.
No. Yeah, he's above Garrett Whitlock. I think Whitlock is going to be ultimately be in the bullpen.
You do.
I think that, and I think he's better served there. Yeah, absolutely. I think the injuries have sort of played a role in that, and I think that they just need to get him healthy. Look, he signed that deal, which I thought was a good deal for the Red Sox, because it's like, hey, if he's a good starter, then you get him at a bargain, and he can stay healthy. But if he's not, then he's on a team friendly deal. But he was a lights out reliever in 21. And I think the part of issues with Garrett is that he just hasn't. I know this isn't about Garrett Whitlock, but part of the issues with Garrett is that he just has been sort of jumping back and forth between starter and reliever, and then when he sees the starter, he gets hurt. So I think ultimately you got to put him back in the bullpen. But look, with Crochet, I think that it does become your best starter, but also I think that you still need to go out there and get an ace. I still think they need to establish who this organization is through free agency as well. And that means going out and getting Max Fried, going out and getting a Blake Snell, going out and getting somebody, even if you go to the middle part, Jack Flaherty, I'm not going to say he's an ace, but you're building out a roster and a pitching staff that's respectable versus getting guys just always on upside.
Big leaguers. Right, exactly. No. Sure.
So I do think that they need to go out there get a Crochet, but it shouldn't stop there. Like you get Crochet, somebody like Max Fried, and then you get Teoscar Hernandez or somebody like that, and you just put that team together on the field next year. That's a pretty good ball club, right? Like you're talking about a rotation of say Cutter Crawford's not a part of it, but the top 3 of Fried, Houck, and not in any order, and Crochet, right? And I think if you look at that and you say, hey, this can get us to the postseason. Yeah, it can get you to the postseason. And you know what? you only need about good two or three good starters in the postseason because
Yeah, once you
everything
get there.
becomes such, like, you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
Dodgers got to a point where they had Yamamoto, Bueller, and Flaherty. And Flaherty wasn't even pitching that well, but Yamamoto and Bueller were lights out. And then they
Yeah.
just figured out the rest of it. So I think you got to look at that situation, or even the Yankees, right? Cole, Rondon, Schmidt, maybe a number
Yeah.
3,
Clark
4,
Schmidt, yeah.
5, probably a 5. So, but you got to have, but those first two guys got to be lights out guys. And so you can't stop
Yeah.
at Crochet. You got to go out and get it free to somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, considering what the Red Sox did last year with
Or
the
like you
starting
said,
rotation.
Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
I know his
Who was
strikeout rate
also
is going down, but he's a dog.
Yeah, and
He's a
the
pit bull.
Orioles
Like,
also issued a qualifying offer to him, so that'll be attached with some draft compensation, which kind of, for some teams at least, kind
yeah,
of runs them off the scent a little bit because of
yeah,
people love their prospects, they
yeah.
love their draft picks as they go down. But as you talked about, as we talked about, if Nick Pivetta accepts his qualifying offer, that's $21 million off of, I think, the $60 million that they have to play with before they reach over the luxury tax. So that would definitely impact some of those plans potentially, but we'll see how that all plays out. But Garrett Crochet coming to the Red Sox seems like it could be a real possibility. All right, well, from Simone Biles to Caitlin Clark to all the stories in sports, the top stories, we got you covered on Nesson's Women in Sports podcast, Respect Her Game. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you listen to Respect Her Game. So, Julian, the NFL is considering playing even more international games in 2025, which, NFL is king right now. Everybody understands that. But should Major League Baseball play more games outside of their usual stadiums? Other places that they played was the Field of Dreams. They played at Rickwood Field this past year, the Negro League stadium where Willie Mays got his start. It was a great showing. The historical context behind it, as well as some of the stories that came from it as well. I thought it was incredible. So, short answer for me is absolutely yes. They should do this. I think it's cool. It enhances the product and the experience. Takes the game outside its usual parameters. I think the only thing that is the negative is probably from the home teams because they lose one of their 81 home games. So some revenue there when you're talking about concessions or merchandise, what have you. But I think if you're looking at the greater good of this, and the whole purpose is to try and expand the game to people who may not necessarily be baseball fans, and increase the product's visibility, then this is a no-brainer. They should be playing in places outside of the normal 30 ballparks to continue to elevate the game. And I think that's the long game, even though the short game is losing some revenue. But this will be amazing. Some places that come to mind are, I'd love for them to go to Honolulu, Hawaii. I lived there for a
Mm-hmm.
period of time. It'd be awesome to play at Aloha Stadium, although it's being torn down. So maybe they play at University of Hawaii, where Les Murakami Stadium, where they can fit 4,000 to 6,000. It'd be short and be intimate, but to have a Major League Baseball game on campus, I think that also is cool. I mean, Rickwood didn't have crazy high capacity either, but the experience in and of itself was fantastic. And
Yeah.
I think playing in places like that, who don't have a major league ballpark or don't have a major league franchise or a professional team, I think is really cool, and people will come out and show up in droves. So that's the top of my list. What are you thinking as far as this? You think it's a great idea?
I do. And I think, look, I would even entertain, and I know they won't do it because obviously baseball plays a lot of games, but the beginning of the baseball season is also, once you get past opening day, it's like, okay, like I'll catch up with this in June. Right?
Yeah,
It's
for the
almost,
casuals,
somebody
even
said
for
to me
some of the
that,
hardcores
yeah,
too.
somebody said to me, baseball is like your companion, right? It's there, right? It's you're riding along with the season, but like it's a friend. Like it's not something that you're always like keyed in on like every Sunday because it's Lamar Jackson is playing Patrick Mahomes. Oh man, what's gonna happen here? So I think to adopt even some of what the NBA did, some sort of
Mm,
maybe in season tournament, that but you don't add on the games. It just, these games mean something. Like, I don't even know how the in-season tournament works necessarily, but I know that they still play their 82 game schedule, but
Right.
those games are just like a part of the 82 game schedule, and they're just called the in-season tournament. And shockingly, I thought it did pretty well last year. I enjoyed watching that, because the
Mhm.
beginning of the NBA season's boring. But if I had to pick a couple places, I have a couple places listed I wrote down. And they're kind of unique places. Like, they're not like places that, like, like, it's sort of just like sort of Mount Rushmore. So like, maybe like a temporary field that they put there or something
Yeah,
like that. You never know. Even maybe setting up a game somewhere in Central Park, having some sort of event, there in the middle of the city during the summer or whatever.
that'd be
The
interesting.
Grand Canyon, put a temporary field near the Grand Canyon. No, like, there's so many things you can do and so many places you can go with this. I think that go beyond just like it being like so heavy and so deep, because last year was kind of heavy too. Like, we can
Yeah,
say that was
Rickwood was.
like that was it was great, but it was also kind of heavy. And I
Yeah.
think
Reggie
for
Jackson, I
for
remember him speaking so eloquently
yeah,
about
and I
the entire thing, and it brought back the reality, the fact that, hey, this place was a place of hate previously, although it's
yeah,
celebrating baseball coming here now. A lot of people had a hard time, including Willie Mays, playing at this field. So let's not forget that. And I completely get your point.
yeah. My brother actually did the choreography um John Batiste, and my brother's a choreographer. But he did the choreography of John Batiste in the for him singing the national anthem there. And he
Right.
was saying, like, yo, no, like, we need to take into account, like, this is not a happy place for a lot of people. My brother spoke to Willie Mays' son, and Willie Mays' son was saying, like, yo, my dad hated coming here. Like, he
Mm,
didn't like coming here. So I think, the tonality wise, if, like, yes, it was a great thing that they did play there, but we got to figure out ways to make this sometimes fun too, and like it
yeah.
like in just ways that, like, yo, if there's a way that you can play a game, I don't know, in one of like the places like the parks in Compton or something like that. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or one of, like, near Rucker Park in New York, or out here in Boston at one of the basketball courts out here on the
Yeah.
makeshift like something that's like communal and just fun, but it feels like, oh, it's a barbecue going on next to us,
Right.
but Giancarlo Stanton and Rafael Devers are playing each other on field one.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
That would be cool.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, to your point, yeah, create some excitement around it, enthusiasm. I think the Field of Dreams is an incredible thing too. Korea, I think the Dodgers are starting the regular
yeah,
season there next year. Playing in Japan, I know is great. I know you talked about this when they did it during his time about how that starting the season over there kind of made it feel like they were catching up the entire rest of the way. So it's tough. So you got to
yeah.
find that balance for sure because
I
you throw off
covered
your
the
body
A's, and
clock,
they
your circadian rhythms. What were you saying? No.
no, I covered. I was My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was saying, I covered the A's, and they started the season 2019 season in Japan, and they played the Mariners, and
Hmm.
surprisingly, that's when Ichiro retired. Like, he officially retired in Japan playing the
Hmm.
A's, and they say, "Yo, I'm done." And that was like a great moment, because it's like, wow, you have one of these like legendary guys that that's like, in Ichiro plays, he's still playing baseball. He's like 50,
I
and
know,
who's like
dude.
45 years old, and he's finally retiring, and MVP, multiple All-Star games, obviously, about that. But the moment itself, like, was just sort of this celebratory moment that everybody just appreciated, because it's like, yo, one of your own comes home and he's retiring. It's like a full circle moment. So I keep sort of, instead of always thinking about just always, oh, growing the game, growing the game, growing the game, what are the stories around the game that make it go? And Ichiro is obviously one of those stories, because I mean, that guy is, before Otani. I mean, that was
The Japanese
Otani, and
superstar,
it
right?
for a long, long time. and he sort of paved the way for these other guys to come behind him. And what better way to sign off than in your own state, bro? It's like you signing off in Brentwood, or not Brentwood. Where are you from
Inglewood.
again? Inglewood, man. You signing off in Inglewood.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I get it completely.
Inglewood by way of the suburbs.
Hey, anyway you pass through the city, you good.
Hey.
So it is what it is. But baseball needs to kind of carry on to the momentum that they built in this World Series. It was, I think, I saw something that said it was the highest rated World Series since 2017. It averaged more than 15 million viewers. And Game 5 had 18 million people watching, the clincher for the Dodgers. So baseball's got to catch up on this momentum. And even Game 3 was up against Monday Night Football. Your New York Giants were playing that one.
No, I'm not a Giants guy. But
I forgot it.
I'm a free agent now. I'm a free agent.
Oh yeah,
I'm done with the Jets. I'm done.
You got that Jets green on your head right now.
Hey, this isn't Jets green, man. This is. I'm just getting the holiday season. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you look like a Christmas tree right now, bruh.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm sorry you went that way. I'm sorry you went A5A, man.
Hey, well, listen,
man. All the way, bro.
First of all, of all, we shall transcend all, man. You know what it is. Respect your roots, brother.
Fraternity, knowledge, fidelity.
Oh man, see, you got all these
achievement in every field of human endeavor.
Hey, good on you, man. Good on you. At least you in your community, I'll give you that. But I want to go too inside, man. You got folks wondering what the hell you're talking about right now. But
yeah, man, come on. You look like you're on week 6 right now, bro.
Hey, it's been tough, man, in this winter. You know what I mean? I got my homies not even hitting me up on my birthday, so I'm struggling right now, man. I got low self.
Oh man. Oh, you got low self.
Exactly.
You back in high school again? Low self.
Yeah, exactly, man. You already know. But
oh shoot.
Anyways, man, you're taking it off the rails now. All right. Let's line it back in. You want the latest on the Patriots and the NFL? Drake May needs help, and we discuss how he can get it quickly on Nesson's Football Podcast, Foxborough Rush. Available on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you listen, you can find Foxborough Rush, Nesson's premier Patriots podcast. All right, as we get ready to wrap up the show, man, I want you to tap into something interesting here because we want to give you the top 3 fictional baseball players the Red Sox should sign this offseason. And I don't know who you have on your list, my friend, but I had a list. Actually, yeah, who do you got on your list? Well, I find my list.
Find your list.
You know what? I dropped it right here. All right, here we go. I got my list, man. My number 3. My number 3. One of the greatest baseball movies of all time. And, of course, we just lost James Earl Jones. May he rest in eternal peace. But I got Benny the Jet Rodriguez from The Sandlot. I think that's my number 3. The Red Sox should sign him because Benny had speed, man. Come on. He's still in home. You remember that last scene where the Red Sox now, they got an athletic young team. I think he would be able to benefit. Plus, he can hit. Benny could hit for average, but he had the wheels, man. So Benny the Jet Rodriguez would be my number 3.
All right, I got one for you right here. Hold on, let me pull it up. It's my guy from all right. So obviously we know the Red Sox need pitching, right?
Okay.
Particularly you might need left-handed. Particularly they need some left-handed starters, right? They need some I do believe they need left-handed starters, right? Or some just type of left-handed pitchers.
What you did there.
Yeah, exactly. You see it, right? If you know, you know. So
you see it.
I'm gonna go with one of my exactly all 162 put together good at bats. It started with the walk. Man. All right. It started with the walk. This guy sometimes it starts with the walk with this guy, but when he's in the zone, he's in the zone. Hey, I'm going with my man Ryan Dunn from Summer Catch. Left-hander.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, he has some solid stuff. But I think Benny the Jet would get him. But as you talked about, Sox need pitching. I want a starter who's going to be not only is going to be that dude on the mound, confidence in himself. He knows he can get any out. He's looking to go 27 up, 27 down every single time out. Plus, he's got the swagger to be able to step into Fenway Park and not be rattled by the environment. This guy's proven. I'm going with my man, Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn, played by Charlie Sheen. The glasses are on point. I love the style. I think he gives me James Karinchak vibes, but he's a lot more normal, I guess. But also, he's a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So, Wild Thing from what do you call it? Well, Wild Thing is my guy. So that's my pitcher that I'm bringing for the Red Sox. Rick Wild Thing Vaughn.
All right.
Who's your number two?
With my second pick, I know the Red Sox are still left-handed heavy, but you can give up some guys, and this guy's a really great bat-to-ball guy. I think they can, probably get some out of him. He's a grinder. He's been around the league for a little bit. I'm going with my man Stan Ross, aka Bernie Mac,
I was going
Mr.
to say Mr. 3000.
R.I.P. to my man Bernie Mac.
Oh my gosh, man, Mr.
Bernie
3000.
Mac.
My man was in that movie too. Who played? Who was in? What's the joint with Nick Cannon? Drumline. Drumline. Yeah. And he also no, that was I'm thinking of a different cat, but he was in Ghost, and he's also Frat too. He's also an alpha. I forget he was in that movie as one of the big hitters too. But okay, I like it, Mr. 3000. Rest in peace to Bernie Mac. I can't even do the Bernie Mac impersonation. I tried, but all right, my top pick, man. My top pick who the Red Sox should get. I mean, you talked about pitching, although this man was a gifted pitcher at one period in time. This man walked away from the game for 16 years, came back as an elite outfielder with a killer swing. I can still see the ball flying into the lights right now. I'm talking about Roy Hobbs, the natural. You got to get somebody who can hit the ball over the ballpark. Love me some Roy Hobbs. I think the Red Sox could use another impact bat. He would be that guy. I'd love to see him swinging it and peppering the green monster. He can go to all fields. He's just that elite. So the natural, you can't go without the natural. I love offense. That's my thing. I love pitching, but offense, it seems if you got great offense, you'll be able to combat some elite pitching. And at the end of the day, you got to get in the zone. We saw that from Juan Soto in the World Series. You got to get in the zone. You got to pitch to these guys. And Roy Hobbs, he'd be crazy at Fenway. He'd be going nuts. His name would be in the rafters. He'd have a placard up there in right field next to Uncle James, Jim Rice. I do believe.
Yeah, you do believe.
All right. Who's your number one?
All right, so I'm trying to keep the locker room young, right? I'm trying to keep them energized. Locker room can't get too old. I think sometimes you still need that young blood in the locker room. And this guy has 50 years of control left. He's only, 12 years old, has elite stuff.
Oh, man.
Elite arm. My man, row, Gardner. Rookie of the year, Henry Rowan Gardner. That's where I'm going.
God, man.
Because he has the elite stuff that to get guys out. The Red Sox need high power arms. What better than him? And then he has like 15 years of control. So there you go. Those are my top three.
Crazy list, man. I like yours. I certainly love mine even more, but you might have got me with that last pick, though. I didn't have any youth in my list. Henry Rowan Gardner, Rookie of the Year. That's a solid pick. I think another honorable mention that I might have had if I was able to get. I did think about Stan the Man, but same another character from the movie Major League. Obviously, Rick Wild Thing Vaughn was my top pick, but when I'm thinking about a top bat, a guy who can hit the ball, well, couldn't hit the curveball for a very long time, but he was able to finally figure it out and come through. Pedro Serrano, man, Major League, played by my man from the Allstate commercials, Allstate. That's my guy.
Yeah.
And Pedro Serrano, he would have been another pick for sure. You got any honorable mentions? If not, we'll leave
Yes.
it there.
Hold on.
I see you. I
So
see
I
you
gotta
clicking
go.
away
I
right
gotta
now.
go. I gotta go to. I gotta go with my man, Keanu Reeves and Hardball as my manager.
Oh my god, dude! All right.
Yeah.
Keanu gets the honorable mention.
And then
Pedro Serrano.
we gotta see, and then we gotta keep G Baby in there just to keep the vibes going, right? Like remember G Baby. That was the saddest movie, bro. I remember I was like 10 years old. I was like almost crying. I was like, dang, G Baby got
Oh,
shot. Remember that
oh
movie? You
man,
don't remember that
dude.
movie? Come on,
Wait,
dude.
which
You
one?
gotta get your game up. Hardball.
What?
I love when you call me Big Pop, but throw your hands like the dude couldn't listen.
I
The
might.
dude who was a pitcher. The dude who was a pitcher. He couldn't pitch unless he had Biggie Smalls, Big Papa playing in his ear.
I gotta go back and watch that one. I can't
Yes,
recall that one
bro.
right now, man.
Thank you, yo, bro. Come on, man. Go back and watch Hardball, dog.
Hardball. Okay. Yeah, I was locked in on Major League,
Yeah,
man. Okay, Hardball.
man. Come
Okay.
on, bro. G
There's a
Baby.
couple good
Got my
baseball
man
movies
G
out there.
Baby there. Michael B. Jordan was in that movie.
Dude, Michael B. Jordan was in a lot, man. I went back and
He was in
rewatched
The
The
Wire
Wire.
back in the day.
Yeah, bro.
Yep. He
That
got
was a
killed like in the
sad,
second, third
bro.
episode.
He got murked, man. That was something terrible. I hate to spoil it, but for those who haven't seen it, but I went back and rewatched the entire season during the pandemic, man, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever made on television, and
Yeah,
it
bro. The
still is
Wire's
up there
awesome.
with some of the all-time greats. Maybe we get into that
I think
next. Next
it's
episode
awesome.
of 310 to Left. We talk about some of the all-time great shows ever put to television. We'll see. You watching anything exciting right now? Spending your off season on the tube or not?
Oh man, yeah. I was watching that it may not be that Menendez thing, but I had to cut it off, bro. That was like that.
Oh man.
I can't. My stomach couldn't take that. So like,
Oh
yeah,
man,
it
that's
was
too real life, man. Jeez.
it was too real
You
life.
had
I
to
was like,
you had to end the show on a
I need
downturn,
something.
man. Come on.
I need something
What's
a
wrong
little
with you,
bit
dude? What's wrong with
different.
you, man?
You
Hey,
asked if I
listen,
was
we'll leave it
watching
there.
something. That's what I'm
We'll leave it
watching.
there. Jeez, man. Come on.
I'm
I'm
not
talking
watching
about
no
some
more.
good stuff. Well, good for you, man. Thanks for letting that go, bro. We can read the newspaper. We want to see that.
All right.
But I might as well start. I think I'm gonna start watching Zodiac on Netflix. Come on, man. These crime docs.
Man,
You and your crime docs.
I should have said
Brutal.
like Billions or something like that. It was
Exactly, man. Come on, dude. Listen.
Yeah, man.
You think of
Hey,
something
bro, it was on the
maybe with
tube.
some rainbows and sunshine for next week, and we'll see where we're at. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of 310 to Left. I'm Jahmai Webster. That's Julian McWilliams from the Boston Globe. Find us anywhere you find your podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever the case may be. Thanks for watching this week on Veterans Day. Thanks to all who serve, and we'll see you next time.